I'm Sherry Prupis, and I'm developing Unit 3 of my Intro to Sociology class. Unit 3 is about culture. My students are evening students. They tend to be older and more culturally diverse than traditional students. My goal is to help all my students navigate through society and society's institutions through a better understanding of society and culture. My method is to have students do sociology, not just read about it. This approach fits in with Mayer's principles for the design of multimedia learning, that students learn better in multimodality. I'm expanding upon it. So in addition to reading text and watching multimedia, as Mayer says we should do, and watching some videos and other materials, I'm going to have my students actually do exercises to reinforce their online learning materials. I began this website, intro to sociology.weebly.com, last semester, and this is what it looked like. But with the reading materials that we have done in White Spaces and Design Basic Index, I've redesigned the entire site, paying attention to color, simplicity, navigation. Last term, I worked exclusively in Unit 2, my doing sociology method. And while it's fairly good, I think that I have to scroll too long on this page. And when I can, I'm going to go back and reorganize the page a little bit. For this semester, I'm focusing on my Unit 3 on culture. And I'm already much happier with my page. It actually fits into a single screen. And it has the components that design that White Spaces tells us to have. It has the navigation, it has my heading so we know what it's about, it has the sections that we need, the content, and I also have my footer at the bottom. I've got most of my support materials up in readings and lectures, and I've just begun to work on my assignments. My big job is to create an extra normal video so that I can model it for my students. In my materials for my students, I've included 2 fabulous videos that I have found. I realize that there's no reason why I need to recreate everything. A few things I want from my perspective, and those I'll recreate, but some of the things I can use what I found. I found this wonderful video called What is Culture? And it's interviews where they're interviewing students, and each student talks about what they...
There is a set of traditions and customs that you're raised with.
I think culture is the family around you, the back.
And so I can use this video instead of creating one of my own, and I can move a little further with it and make this video where they interview people on their idea of what is culture as a basis for their blog entry, and have my students compare what they're reading in our wiki book and what they're getting in my lectures compared to what the people in the interview say what is culture. There's another video here called Gestures Around the World that I just love. And even if you're not a current or aspiring sociology student, I strongly recommend that you look at this gesture around the world. It's very, very cool, and I think your students, younger students as well, will really appreciate the video. So here they're talking about handshakes.
والحالي مرمية في بلاد سياح البيت والقلوب المنسية بالنشوار الخلبية من غير شبية.
And I just think that this video is a terrific way of showing non-material culture and showing that culture is relative from society to society and culture to culture. I did create an audio introduction here at the top to orient my students on what's going on in culture. I created this particular audio in GarageBand. Part of the reason that I did it in GarageBand is I already have one that I created in Podcast, and another one that I've done in iMovie. So I thought creating one in GarageBand was a good exercise for me. It is only audio. Welcome back to Introduction to Sociology. This is Unit 3, Culture. Can't stand listening to my own voice. Okay, now Mayer talks about that adding a speaker's image does not actually increase learning. So I was comfortable using GarageBand, which would not have my image in it, because I've already included my image in my About Me and in the very beginning, in the home section, as well as in my syllabus. And so here the focus could truly be on just the audio. In this audio introduction, I am doing what Mayer calls pre-training. I'm giving a few quick highlights so the students know the basic terms for what they need to learn. I do need to review for segmenting. I'm not really sure if I've accomplished this. I'm breaking materials up. When I've done some of this before, I kind of think about it as chunking, making sure that my audio and even my videos are not longer than 20 minutes at the most, but maybe 10 minutes. So I have to see what we're doing here. I find that the websites render differently on each computer, and it is one of the things that the White Spaces book warns us about. So I've done my best to make sure that my website works in all the browsers. One of the things that I found interesting is that I would develop it and create it and make sure that I didn't have any orphan widows, you know, one word on a line. And then I would show it in another browser, and that browser would have one word. And I'd fix it, and then be a problem in my original browser. So I've done the best that I can to pay attention to negative white space, to make sure that I don't have rivers, to pay attention to the rendering of color and text font and type and size, to be careful of my colors and pay attention to what I'm doing here in design. And I believe I've chosen one that renders fairly well, if not identical, on each machine and each browser. I'm comfortable with the navigation, although some of our sites tell us that we shouldn't be doing this, where I go to one page and then within that I have another. Some mouse overs I'm comfortable with, but maybe not mouse over to mouse over to mouse over. So over time, I will go back and reorganize it a little bit so that it's not so deeply embedded. Overall, I believe that it's easy to navigate. I have not truly checked out the accessibility, making sure that it works in screen readers and the like, so that after this semester is something that I need to work on. I want to make sure that there's a lot of interaction among my students. In fact, last semester's course for our certificate and this semester, that's what I really liked what I liked the best was the interaction that we have among each other. So I'm going to borrow from this course, and when my students do their assignment, like violating a social norm, I'm going to have them go and look at comment on two, and do the same kind of thing. Besides, the breaking the social norm assignment is a lot of fun, and some of you even commented how much you enjoyed it when you were freshmen in college, and I think students will like reading about each other. But I want to do something which for me will be interesting in an online course, and that's working and creating a group assignment. So I have this particular assignment that I've done live called the Cultural Cocktail Party, where I give students roles, actor roles, and they don't share their roles with other students. And then we clear all the desks out of the room, and the students interact with each other, cocktail party style, but in the role of actors. So it might be that one student incessantly talks about themselves. Another student stands too close for our culture. Another student never answers a direct question. Other students act normally. And in this cultural cocktail party, afterwards, when we get back together as a large group, we talk about how they felt, and they talk about being uncomfortable by a person because they were standing too close, or how weird it was that this particular student never answered any questions. And they begin to understand the cultural relativity of a behavior in something as simple as a casual social environment. So I'm going to put my students in groups and have them create, using extra normal, a couple of scenarios, and then have other students view them and comment on those scenarios. So I still have a bit of work to do. I hope to get most of it done by next Friday. I guess I have to. My biggest concern is paying attention that this is an undergraduate introductory course and that I'm trying to have my students do too much. I do look forward to your responses, and thank you for listening to my session. Thank you.